Hey, welcome everybody. I'm giving you guys another video. This video is going to be a video that's going to be based upon what a person on my page, he made a comment. The person goes by the username at making9312 or at making, and they spell it makk-i.n.g at making. That's the person that I am going to highlight on this video. I responded to their comment or responded to their commentary by telling them that I will use their content to drive my other content. The reason why I'm doing this is because there are a lot of times that other people say things that I agree with, and sometimes people say things that resonate with me, and I think that is just it's the right thing sometimes to highlight things that resonate within your frequency. So when this person said the things that they said, it resonated with me, and I'm going to read what they said. But before I read what they say, I want to give you guys a brief synopsis or a brief summary or a recap of what we've seen thus far with Colorado Buffaloes football. And likened to a wedding, a lot of you guys are very, very blinded by Coach Prime. And I say that you're blinded because it's blind passion. It's passion that's blinded by nostalgia. It's fueled by nostalgia. It's fueled by a past event. It's fueled by rhetoric and a message that a person gives. It's fueled by the tantalizing effects of what a person can do to you when you're wooed by your emotions, when you're allowing your emotions to lead you rather than you leading your emotions. So here I'm going to paint a picture, okay? So it's like a wedding. A woman has her wedding day, right? The man offers her a great wedding. The wedding is great. They have thousands of people come. The ceremony is great. The reception is beautiful. The food is great. I mean, everything is perfect. The woman could not have asked for a better night. After the night is over with, they go on their honeymoon. They even have a greater honeymoon than the wedding. Then all of a sudden, they get home and real life begins. Months pass and years pass. The woman starts to see that, man, my wedding was great, but my marriage is not really congruent to the wedding. The effects that I got from the wedding, I'm not feeling that same effect. Now, some of you guys may say that's unrealistic because real life has its ebbs and flows, the ups and downs. We know that relationships are not peaches and cream 24/7. You have two individuals that are put together in a household and they have to make things work. We're not even factoring in the kids. If it's just you and that person, it's already a battle. You add kids to the situation, it becomes a little bit more challenging because now you have extra mouths to feed. You have to care for kids. People have to make sacrifices. You may have daycare. You have school. You have homework. You have all that. You have the gamut. For those who have kids, understand what I'm talking about. If you don't have children, then you don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now. What I'm saying is just going above your head. But the point I'm making is this. When Prime first came to Colorado in that press conference and he talked about bringing his Louis luggage, that was the wedding day. And I think that many of you guys are hinging your critique and hinging your analysis based upon that one event. That was the wedding. You guys are living in nostalgia. You guys are living in a euphoric mindset because that moment in time has never left your mind. And every time people say something that goes against what Coach Prime is doing, all you can do is revert back to the wedding. The woman is with the man now after the wedding. Follow me here. I'm going to be going back and forth from the wedding and Coach Prime. I want you guys to understand that it's been a marriage. Coach Prime, he married all of us the day he came to Colorado. All right. Not literally, but I'm using metaphoric language here to have you guys to connect the pieces. So he came there metaphorically. He's the bride. We were all the grooms because we bought the message, right? I'm bringing my Louis Vuitton. He wants to come to a place where he's needed. He feels like this is a calling from God. He said all the right things. The man said all the right things to the woman before he married her. I love you. I'm going to lay my life down for you. Death do us part. Sickness and in health. I'm going to be here for you no matter what. Everything was said that was right. Everything that was said, it spoke to our emotions and it moved us. The emotional appeal was immense. It was strong. It drew us to him like a magnetic field. And that's okay. That's normal. That's what makes us human. That's fine. What's not fine is that once you start seeing the ancillary parts around the message, when I say ancillary, these are the things that people don't think that are important, but these are the little things that chip away at the building before the whole building falls down. So I tell you this. You don't have to have one big axe to whack at the building or whack at the tree. Just keep on chipping away. Months after months after months after year, you keep on chipping away. Eventually, that tree falls down. Now, let's look at Colorado from that aspect. The marriage happened. We all fell in love. But what made the marriage even better is that the honeymoon was even better than the marriage. I'm going to tell you that. The woman marries the man. The man marries the woman. They get married. The wedding was great. They're going on a honeymoon. They have a blast during the honeymoon. The honeymoon is lovely. They made love. The sex was great. Everything was awesome. The lady is living. The bride, she's over and beyond herself right now. She thinks she's living in a fantasy. And I think that's where we all were in when Coach Prime first came. The honeymoon was the first 3 games of the season. The first quarter of the season when he went 3-0. So it wasn't, see, that was the most potent injection of the serum that was stuck in us to actually draw us in more. Because when he first came and he came with the swag and he was talking about, I'm bringing in my Louis luggage. Most of you guys are going to be gone. I'm coming to win. I'm coming to dominate. We coming. Do you believe? He said all the right things. Not only did Prime say all the right things, like the man who says all the right things to the wife he's about to marry, he actually proved it because the first 3 games he went 3-0. The man in the honeymoon, he proves how much he loves the girl. Even after they get home, he shows it. But after a while, when real life starts to settle in, the woman starts to see that, hey, man, this man is not all that I thought he was. He told me he was great, but he doesn't respect me. He's never at home. He doesn't hold me the way he held me. And when things get tough, he tends to kind of blame me for everything. He throws me under the bus a lot. Translate that to Prime. Things get harder. He starts to throw offensive linemen under the bus, offensive coordinators under the bus, doesn't take responsibility for his own actions, continues to be pass heavy due to his strong affinity for his son to pad his son's stats. He has an agenda. He plays favoritism. His son being the quarterback of the team, he wants the ball in his son's hands at all times. You dilute the talent pool of your team because you're not using your team fully for what they are. That 1-11 team that was there last year, this is not the same 1-11 team. This team, statistically, not statistically, but in terms of personnel, are better, hands down, than the team last year by a far margin. This team that they have put together, yes, I understand it's only in one year, and you guys, it is 1 year, 1 year. No. This team collectively, from quarterback all the way to punter and field goal kicker, as a collective, we're not even talking about the coaches, the coaching staff. Remember, before the season began, Coach Prime's coaching staff was touted as being one of the top coaching staffs in college football. We forget that. But because everyone is so fixated on Prime, we start to look at the other coaches like they're trash. They're not trash. Coach Prime is not allowing them to do what they need to do, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We know why, because the son's the quarterback, Sanders, Shador. Okay? So, things get tough. That Prime starts to show his real self. But the blind supporters, because many of us, especially men, we don't get our frontal lobes developed till about 30 years old. So a lot of us, we're operating off of impulse. The flight or fight mechanisms is always within us in terms of how we respond. We don't respond rationally, we respond emotionally, and we're very impulsive. Unfortunately, we have many adults who are past the age of 30 who are still operating off of that reptilian brain, fight or flight. If you dare say anything that's critical about Coach Prime, you're going to be attacked as being a hater. Don't call anybody a hater. Contend with the points that's made. See, the wedding was great. I was part of the wedding. I was there. I was married to Coach Prime at that moment. I was like, wow, this is going to be good. Yeah, this is going to be good. However, as a critical thinker that I am, I had to remove my emotion and insert logic so I can control my emotion. I don't use the emotion to control my logic. A lot of you guys have that flipped. So when somebody says something about Prime, you can't fathom why somebody would say that. You're like, oh my God, how can you say that? You're just a hater. You're just like everybody else. No. People are looking at the ancillary parts around the main character, i.e. Coach Prime. That woman on the wedding day, if she doesn't remove herself from that nostalgia, she's going to allow all the things that she sees that are negative about the husband to just pass by because she's stuck on that one moment. She would never confront the husband because she's stuck on that one moment. She could never critique the husband because she's stuck on that one moment. We can't live in the moment. We can't live off of a past moment. That moment was great. He came in, press conference, bringing my Louis luggage. I'm coming to win. And then he did win his first 3 games of the season. So that right then and there drew a lot of us even more closer to the Coach Prime experience. But then again, when things start to go south, the critique was warranted. The critique was actually needed. You can't play the way you're playing, continually being predictable, coaching without humility, without people criticizing you. It's not personal. We're critiquing your judgment. We're critiquing you getting in front of a press conference telling all of America that you're going to replace your entire offensive line. That's what people are critiquing, Coach Prime. And I don't even know how things went in Jackson State because I didn't follow you in Jackson State. But there are a lot of people who have things to say about what you did in Jackson State as well. So I say all that to say this. Before you call me a hater or call Macon at Macon a hater, because I'm going to read what he said here in a minute, look at the points that they're making and consider where it's coming from. If you're still stuck on the moment that Coach Prime came, said he's going to dominate, then you're going to miss the other factors that are influencing people to have their takes about Coach Prime that are contrary to what you believe or contrary to what you agree to. And it's okay to agree to disagree, but don't call people haters. That's too cheap of a term to use because it kills public discourse. It kills the ability to actually have a conversation. If you call me a hater, then you've already put me in a classification where you're not even going to listen to what I'm saying because you've already made up your mind predetermined in your head that you know that I'm a hater. It means that you know what I'm thinking. You know that my attack or my critique towards this man, Coach Prime, is based upon the personal endeavor or personal interminglings. I've never personally met Coach Prime in my life. All I know is what I see on television like you guys have seen. And I'm going to critique what I see. I have the right to. If he's a public figure, that's what comes with the territory. If you're famous and you're making millions of dollars and you're held to be this great coach and great player and you're saying certain things, then you're going to garner attention, whether it's negative or positive. That comes with the territory that we live in this era, especially with social media. Okay? So I'm going to read this comment by at Making. Again, at Making, MAKK-I.N.G. I'm going to read his comment. He says, bro, I think your prediction about Colorado's season next year is spot on. Only that I think their record will be even worse next year. Now that's a huge saying. I said that on one of my videos. I said it could possibly be worse. And people say, no way, he's going to get better. Okay, let's look at the landscape because you guys are blinded by nostalgia because he told you he came to win and dominate, but what's transpiring is not leading to that. Why? We already see that right now. They're ranked like in the 60s, like mid 60s in terms of recruiting, and it could drop. When I say drop, I don't mean drop in terms of getting lower in number. I mean drop in getting higher. The higher your recruit status is, the worse it is. So for instance, the last time I checked, Colorado was 63rd in recruiting right now because, I mean, it's still early because the season's not over. It's only one game left, but then he's at 63. If the number got bigger, let's say it swelled to like 77, that's not a good look. The trajectory is actually going down towards a negative slope. The lesser the number, the better. So if he was ranked number 2, if Colorado was ranked number 2 in recruiting, that's good. So the lesser the number, the better. The last time I checked, Colorado was at 63. And the more I look online, I'm hearing about how players are decommitting. Players who initially committed are decommitting. But Prime has already set up the stage to blame other coaches by saying they're lying, saying that he's going to leave. And then what's going to happen is that Prime will eventually leave. And then he'll say, well, I had to leave because the whole coaching fraternity were against me. You see how that works? See how the scapegoat works? If it doesn't work, blame it on the offensive line. Don't blame it on your philosophy, Coach Prime, of being predictable. Don't blame it on that. Well, let's blame it on Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator who has a philosophy of a balanced offense, but all of a sudden he comes to Colorado, he doesn't even run the damn ball anymore. Where do you guys think that message is coming from? Do you think that the message in terms of team philosophy comes from the coordinator or from the head coach? I'll wait for you to answer that question. Who do you think has more of a say-so of an executive decision about how the team is going to go in terms of the direction that the team is going to go? Offense or defense? Yeah, you have your coordinators for them to, they're the ones that architect the plays. But in terms of what our identity is going to be on offense, that comes from the coach. If the coach wants to be a running team, he's going to get an offensive coordinator to do that. Okay? So anyway, let me finish reading this. Okay, he thinks the record next year is going to be worse. A few of the more talented guys will jump ship, and the great recruiting class Dion is projected to have next year won't be as great as expected. Players and the public are starting to see through Dion's con. He's created a mercenary spirit there. These guys are going to start thinking about and going for themselves. Dion isn't really a leader. He is too much of an individualist. I predict their record will be even worse next year. They may win 3 games at most, even worse than this season. Colorado fans will turn on him, and he will do what he always does, find an escape route like a rat and abandon ship, especially since his sons and Travis will be going into the draft after next season. He'll leave with them and take his con to the NFL as not a head coach, but he'll likely take a job on whatever team Shedeur is drafted to, maybe as a defensive coordinator or something like that. Then after the smoke has cleared, one of the worst teams in the league will give him a head coaching job. All right, that's the comment that he made, and that's the response that he gave, and that's what I just read. Just tell me what you guys think about that, if you guys agree with what he said. If you guys don't agree, I agree with a lot of the things he said. Now, about him going to the NFL and coaching, I don't know yet, and taking a defensive coordinator job, but there's a lot of things. Other recruits are seeing this happening, and a lot of recruits who wanted to come to Colorado don't think that he's going to be there for the tenure, for the long haul. Like the contract of 5 years, people don't think that he's going to be there for the entire 5 years. So leave a comment and tell me what you guys think. All right. Thank you guys for listening.